said, empty your mind.
Hey everybody, I welcome you to today's video where we're going to talk a little bit about sparring, why you should be sparring, the benefits of sparring, rules of engagement when sparring, the use of proper safety gear when sparring, and as well, I have a special discount code where you can get 50% off some select gloves. I have no affiliation with this company. I make no money from this code. I just saw it's a great opportunity to get 50% off some select gear, and I just thought I'd share that with you. I happen to use this gear myself, and I've used it for 20 plus years now, so I thought I'd just pass along the special discount offer. Let's start talking about sparring. So it's simple why everybody needs to do some more sparring. Most people studying martial arts clearly want to be a good fighter, and if you want to be a good fighter, you have to fight. So sparring is an absolute necessity. In Wing Chun, no matter how much chi sao, battle sets, drills, forms, wooden dummy you're doing, if you're not putting more time into your sparring, you're simply not gonna be a great fighter. It's just that simple. You have to get out there. Now there's numerous reasons to spar. One, you're gonna be judging distance. You're gonna be judging the range, throwing a punch, getting hit, taking a hit. There's so many elements that are crucial to your sparring. And you can use just about all your Wing Chun hand positions except for maybe lop sao. As with the glove, it's really hard to lop sao, but you can use your pak sao, your bong sao, your bill sao. Everything can still be applied. All your kicks still work well. So it's extremely important to get out there and spar. Additionally, you get to practice your 5 stages of combat: entry, contact, exchange, retreat, pursuit, all in one element. You're not looking at individual aspects of those 5 stages, you're practicing them all at once. So it's a necessity for everybody that wants to be a good fighter to fight as much as possible. So those are just a few of the brief reasons: footwork, distance, entry, contact, exchange, retreat, pursuit, getting hit, giving hits. Those are just a few of the many reasons why everybody needs to be doing more sparring. So let's talk about some rules of engagement when sparring. Safety is of the utmost importance. I know it's fighting and it's important, but if you get hurt, you can't go to work. If you get hurt, you lose training time. So it's important, if you get hurt, your kung fu goes downhill because you can't train. So it's important to be able to spar night after night after night. And to do that, you want to wear proper safety gear and have a few rules in place. How we usually start off is by bowing to the instructor or the sifu or whoever's managing the sparring, reffing it. You bow to your partner, show respect, and then you begin. Once again, anybody can call break at any time. And there's a saying, protect yourself at all times. This is a very true thing when sparring. All too often, people say break, hands go down, somebody gets hit. I've done this before to a Kung Fu brother of mine years back, and still to this day, when I think about it, I really still feel bad about it because we were sparring, he said break, I was in the zone, you have the headgear on, you really don't always hear everything. I just saw his hands go down and I let him have it. And he was like, what is going on? I called break and I just didn't hear it. I just saw hands go down. I was in the groove and I let him have it. So protect yourself at all times. If you say break, don't just drop your hands, keep your hands up and back up. Break, break, make sure they've heard the break. If they call break, respect the break if you hear it and be aware that this is something that could be said. Now, you shouldn't be calling break for any reason other than things have gotten absolutely out of control and you feel your safety is now an issue or you're really hurt. If you hit the ground, I see students, beginning students, really break, break, break. No, no, no. Fight your way up from the ground. No break, you're not hurt. You hit the ground, fight your way up from the ground. It's important to build those habits. And this is something you get to do in sparring, is build good habits. You hit the ground, fight your way up, get on your feet as fast as possible, keep fighting. Fight at all costs. Now here's one other tip. What we do when sparring, there's proper safety gear involved, which I'll talk about in a minute. But always, as a beginner, what I recommend, what I do with my students, no kicking below the waist. And I know people are like, what? Wing Chun guys like to kick low. Yes, we do. But as a beginner student, I really don't trust beginner students kicking people in the legs. It's just too easy to hurt somebody. and they don't have enough control. So we reserve that for more advanced students. It's just too risky, too dangerous, and I don't want to see people getting hurt. Beginners have a hard time. They don't really understand control, distance, speed, all these things, power yet. So it's important to keep the kicks above the waist when sparring at a beginning level. So those are some tips on rules of engagement, some things we do as rules of engagement when sparring. So now let's talk about the proper safety gear I feel everybody should be using. We used to train in a place in New York City, it's called the Fight House. They had a ring, and I'd see a lot of people sparring and using different styles, Wing Chun schools, all sorts of styles. And I noticed everybody was using these little baby thin karate gloves, vinyl gloves. Those rip skin very easy. And I also noticed nobody really wanted to fight because they didn't want to get hit. They didn't want to hurt their partner, which I understand. These are your Kung Fu brothers or sisters. These are people you've built a relationship, people you don't want to see get hurt, and you just don't feel comfortable really giving it to somebody with those little thin gloves on, as they add no protection value to your hand or to your partner's face. So I don't recommend those. I recommend high quality sparring gear. Now you should be wearing headgear, mouthpiece, gloves, and if you're kicking gear. That's the minimal gear we require. I think groin protection is crucial, and if you want to wear chest protection, do it. Don't be afraid to wear as much gear as you're comfortable wearing. There's nothing wrong with wearing it. Now, your head is your computer. Don't cheap out on protecting your computer. Get the highest quality headgear you can find. Do not cheap out on that headgear. I promise you, you will regret it. Now, the gear I use ringside gear. I've been using it for years. Once again, I have no affiliation with this company other than I've just used their products. And I noticed they have a discount code. I'll put this right here, gloves50. So if you're looking for gloves right now on some select gloves, they have 50% off. Even if they weren't 50% off, I'd be recommending this gear. These gloves last and last a long time because they're high quality gloves and they're made for sparring. I recommend the hook and loop closure. I believe that the ringside IMF sparring hook and loop closure. They have something that strap that you strap around your wrist. I also wear wrist wraps, but those are the gloves I recommend, and they're $99. And right now with that code, gloves50, you can get them for 50% off. And I promise you, I don't get a penny from this. I have no affiliation. It's just something I recommend because I personally have been using it for years. They also have some good headgear there. I've used numerous variations of their headgear. They have a full face, I think it's called the Deluxe Full Face Protector with this big bar across it. Never get the ones that have the bar across your nose or a cage. You get hit, that gets blasted into your face. I don't recommend that. But their full face deluxe headgear I've used before. It's great. And they also have another headgear for sparring, and it goes with some cheek protection, and I saw that on sale as well. And I've used that. That's what I prefer because there's just nothing blocking my view. I hear this a lot. I don't like headgear because it blocks my view, it limits my view. Yes, it might do that, but you will get used to it, I promise you, and it's important to protect yourself. So get that headgear and use it. Get good quality headgear and use it. I can't stress that enough. So headgear, mouthpiece, we get the double mouth guard with the breathing holes that you can breathe. You have to take that little tab off. All too often I see new students show up with that tab in and they can't breathe. You have to pull that tab off, and you boil the mouth gear. You put that mouth gear in, you bite down, and then you take that tab off afterwards when you've cooled it off. It has some directions, follow the directions. But you have to pull that piece out. Don't pull it out until you've boiled it, form-fitted it to your mouth, and then cooled it off, and then you can pull that tab out so you can breathe. Headgear, mouth gear, wrist wraps, good training gloves, good kicking gear. I believe Combat Sports is another place you can buy good gear from, good kicking gear, and chest protection if you want. I know it's bulky, but once you get side kicked in the ribs, I notice students that have been side kicked in the ribs really hard show up the next class with chest gear on. Once again, don't be afraid to wear gear, and groin protection I highly recommend. So that's the safety gear. That's the discount code for you. Take advantage of it if you need new gear. It's well worth it. And you really do need to wear proper safety gear. With this gear, you get out there, you can fight hard and feel great afterwards and be safe. So I'm gonna go on a quick rant. I had a school in New York City, and when I first got there and started this school, only a few months in, my students had very minimal Wing Chun experience, but we were just having a lot of fun sparring every night. I had a new student join the school that had been doing Wing Chun for numerous years. He knew the dummy form, all his forms, Chi Sao. He'd been training Wing Chun for years, knew most of the system, although he never did any sparring. So he was happy to get his sparring gear, get out there and show everybody everything he could do. So on his first day of sparring, he got his bell rung by every single student I had. Now, here's the thing, he never sparred. So if you don't spar, I don't care how much of everything else you do, you're not gonna be a good fighter. And he was very depressed, upset. He actually wound up quit doing Kung Fu, and he was just so upset. I remember him saying, I've been doing this for so many years. How in the world did everybody just destroy me? And I'm like, they've been fighting for several months now. You've never fought. So it doesn't matter how much of the art you know. If you've never put it to practice, you're not gonna be good at it. So if you wanna be a good fighter, you have to get out there and fight. You can't just do your forms, the dummy, your Chi Sao. You have to put all this together in real world experience. And I went, met him at his house, had some conversations, tried to encourage him to come back and practice, because I knew just with a little bit of sparring, he'd be right back in the game. It's important to get out there and fight. And this is something I thank my Sifu for, because right from the beginning, he always encouraged us to fight and fight hard. And we had open fight nights at our school. This is like pre-UFC. And we had fight nights where we had martial artists from all different walks of life. Kickboxers, boxers, Tang Sudo, Bagua, you name it, they all came through that door. We actually opened up one of the very first MMA gyms in the country called the Arena. It was a really cool facility, and it was just a great opportunity to just train with different martial artists and fight everybody. And something all my Kung Fu brothers and sisters noticed is everybody left shaking their heads going, what is going on? These Wing Chun guys just destroyed me. I gotta fix my art, I gotta fix this, I gotta change my training. We all left thinking if our stamina was just, if we were just in a little bit better shape, we don't need to fix our art. We just gotta, fix our cardio a little bit, and we're great fighters. So we were all very pleased with our sparring, our Kung Fu, everything we did. Our Wing Chun never let us down. And it's about practicing, fighting, sparring. So my recommendation, get out there and spar as much as you can. Be safe, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon. If you can, take 1 second, hit that bell notification, hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and feel free to share it, pass the word around. I hope to see everybody soon in the next video. Take care.